Good evening and welcome to Correro, the big conversation where we ask the questions that matter. And as usual, tonight we would begin the conversation, or before we get to the conversation, we'd love to throw out the headlines, the big political stories in the polity as of today. We begin with Anambra State, where INEC and the police have restated their commitment and readiness for the Anambra elections. Don't forget that there would be by-elections in Anambra State in August 16th, and then by November 8th, the big governorship election in the state would hold. Who would it be? Emerging as governor of Anambra State, we'll get to find out at that time. But as it is, the politicking has started, the permutations have begun. Would it be the PDP? Would it be the APC? Or the ABGA in Anambra State come November 8th? We'll find out in the coming days. Don't forget, keep your fingers crossed. We'll always bring you those big stories. Now let's go on to APC, beginning the sales of forms for the National Assembly by-elections. These elections are slated across many parts of the country, but then INEC is saying, look, we are ready. APC has also begun to sell forms. Now, don't forget that many times politicians say this is the most corrupt part of elections in the country, where people are scheming and even buying delegates and buying, the cost of buying nomination forms alone is something. And for a party like the APC, where people have been accused of stealing monies realized from the sale of interest forms, what does this say? What is going to happen now that we have, or the APC has, an interim chairman? What's going to happen? Would it be different from what it has always been, or would it be the same old story in the APC? Let's hope that this time around, the forms are sold, at a reasonable price, and that the monies are not frittered away by other individuals within the party. From there, let's talk about the PDP, where some of the bigwigs, a very big wig in the party, a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, has defected. Adamu Waziri is a member of the party from Yobe State. He sent his resignation at the ward level and says, look, the party does not reflect the values of credible opposition, and that's why he's dumping the party and making his exit, joining the African Democratic Congress, ADC, where, the coalition has said, this is where we belong now. This is where we're going to be working from. This is going to be the vehicle that takes us to Aso Rock come 2027. In the same vein, the former SGF has also dumped the party. Babachir Lawal served under the Buhari administration in his first term and resigned his position. He has also dumped the All Progressives Congress. He sent in his resignation at his ward in Hong local government area in Adamawa State. This is the gale of defections happening from both sides of, the big political parties, or almost all political parties. Some people dumping the PDP, some others dumping the APC, and some even dumping the Labour Party and moving on to the coalition. What is this? Is it more tension? Would all of this cause a distraction, further distraction from, governance, as we have seen over the last couple of weeks? Many people are saying, look, this coalition and the opposition in general seem to be causing further distraction from governance. Will the Tinubu administration be able to, focus on delivering its promises and also governing Nigerians, providing good governance for Nigerians, as against just focusing on politics and politicking? We'll be talking about these and more in the conversation. Don't forget, this is Correro, the big conversation where we ask the questions that matter. Stay with us. We'll get into the conversation shortly. Correro, the front row seats to the most pressing issues, from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism, and the conversations that matter. My name is Ihia Nacho Prince, and I invite you to this big conversation table as we analyze the top stories, ask the top questions, and hold power to account. News that informs, analysis that empowers, debate that drives change. Correro, the big conversation, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Rapid TV.
Nigeria's economy, the global markets, what does it all mean for you? From stock market insights to global financial news you need to know, from Wall Street to the main street and of course the marketplace.
Get the answers you need every week on Business Lens with me, Faith Dafa Joseph, as I bring into focus the stories, strategies, and shifts shaping our economy. No angle is missed as I talk about the business, the people, patterns, and possibilities behind them. Welcome to the Business Lens.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impact they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NAS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m.
So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Thank you for staying with us. This is still Correro, the big conversation where we ask the questions that matter. 2 years into President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, Nigeria stands at a crossroads between bold reforms and rising public anxiety. Let's begin with the economy. The removal of fuel subsidy and unification of the Naira exchange rate were hailed as necessary, but the cost has been high. Inflation hit 33.95% in May 2024. Food inflation rose to about 37.7% in the same period, however, slowing down to 22.97% in the corresponding period 2025, which many have hailed as a significant improvement. However, the average Nigerian still laments the hardship and hunger in the land. The Naira has swung between 1,200 Naira and 1,500 Naira per dollar, straining households and businesses alike. Insecurity remains persistent. Despite a change in service chiefs, however, thousands have been reported to be abducted in the past year, with banditry and terrorism still rife across the Middle Belt and the Northwest. Politically, the APC is embroiled in a leadership crisis, 2 chairmen gone in less than 24 months, while the opposition PDP is fracturing amid leadership disputes and defections. A new coalition is rallying around the ADC, eyeing 2027. Well, the rise of the coalition further distracts the government of the day from its governance responsibility. Governance-wise, the administration has launched initiatives like the renewed Hope Housing Scheme, the Student Loan Scheme, the Presidential CNG Initiative, and Consumer Credit Scheme. But critics say implementation is lagging behind. This is Correro. And joining me in the big conversation tonight is Honorable Dr. Ugochukwu Williams. He is or was the youngest aspirant in the People's Democratic Party in the last general elections. We examined the intersection of governance and politics. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Ugochukwu.
It's a pleasure being in your studio today. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah.
Let's begin this conversation by asking what your thoughts are on the economy of Nigeria. Some of the bold policies that the administration has done in the last 2 years, removal of subsidy, I mentioned in the monologue earlier, some of these policies have been hailed. However, Nigerians are still lamenting hardship and difficulty. Some people cannot even feed their families. What has been your thoughts regarding all of this in the last couple of months?
Thank you very much for having me and giving me opportunity to discuss the situation of our nation, which all of us are one. And if it's good in Nigeria today, even you as a press person will be very happy, and me I also be happy. And in Nigeria today, in the last 2 years, there have been a lot of policy change, and which has affected every one of us, including those in government and those on the street of Nigeria, including those in the rural areas. It has affected everybody. For me, the economy got worsened in the last 8 years of Nigeria. I think we have not done we've not been able to follow the economic track of maybe from 2015 till that. There was a lot of change in policy, change in government, and in Nigeria there is no continuity in government. So change in government most time bringing with new policies, and most time those new policies turns to be good to us or bad. Right now, the last 2 years that the change on government, and one of the reasons why you see a lot of hardship in Nigeria today is the removal of subsidy, and which you and I know that we are all beneficial of of having subsidy, subsidizing the fuel, the diesel, because that is where every average Nigerian benefit from government in terms of moving commodity at a cheaper rate to different market and different places that now make food very affordable, and also making transportations easy. But since the inception, right from day one when the President Tinubu took over office, he announced the removal of subsidy. A whole lot of things changed. You and I know that before the day of swearing in, naira to dollar was about 780 to dollar, but within that change of policy, a lot of things changed, and that has affected our economy. You will say, everybody will say, yeah, even me, I was one of the advocates for the removal of subsidy, and every other woman in Nigeria will wish that subsidy is removed. It is important that we try to, but what you now say, what is the modality of removal of subsidy? What have been put in place for you to also remove subsidy? It should be a gradual process. Maybe the government did not study what the outcome will be like before they remove subsidy. So that has made worsen our economy, even to the point of our inflation rate has risen to the point of 38, only that it started coming down to 33, thereabout. Before, in 2015, our inflation rate was 1 digit. It was about 9.8, and today we have gone beyond 1 digit to 2 digits, and things are also not getting better for every average man on the street. Like I said, it's not just only for the average man on the street, it's also for the big man who has taken a lot of money from government, because if in his fleet of cars he has been spending, let's say, 300,000 naira in a month to fuel those fleet of cars, now he spent about 3 million to fuel those fleet of cars.
But then, if everyone has been affected by this, what has stopped those of you in the opposition from protesting? Remember that in 2011, so 2012, when the subsidy was removed by the Jonathan administration,
yes,
people protested. The president, the current president, was one of those who led that protest. Now, many Nigerians are wondering why the opposition seems so weak at this point. Why don't we have people, speaking up for the ordinary Nigerian and leading the ordinary Nigerian in peaceful protests like they did in 2012?
Yeah, see, the opposition, we don't really have opposition in Nigeria. unlike in 2011, 2015, when there was huge opposition, when people, even governors, stood to protest. And you can even wonder why, because then things were more better. We were buying fuel at 98 naira then, and people were protesting. Now we're buying fuel 1,000 or 980, and people are not protesting. One, the situation, there is no more freedom for citizens unlike before. Many people are afraid of protests. You see the last protest the young people carried out during the End Bad Government protests, and so many people were arrested, so many people were charged. You see young people who are below 18 years charged to court, and you feel sorry for the country. So that created fear among people. So many people are afraid to protest. And for me, I also see it as the people who also fuel protests, who support protests, and also the politicians who, for their own interests, and also so many young Nigerians are also looking at, if I finish protesting, who becomes the governor? The older people. If I finish protesting, who becomes senator? The older people. So many people are also looking at that in taking decision to go out to all protests. So the aspect of being arrested and being molested for protesting, if people can freely protest for what they demand for, make a demand, and nothing happens to them, you see more people coming out to protest.
Now, what does that say about our democracy? A democracy where people cannot protest, where people cannot feel free enough to go out to the streets and air their grievance and advocate better governance from the governors, the same people that they are, or leaders, for the same people that they voted into power. We say democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. And if the people have no voice, like they say, vox populi, vox Dei, the people, the voice of the people cannot be heard. What does that leave our democracy as a nation?
As a nation, it's dangerous for our nation. For our nation, of course, we are practicing democracy, but we are not implementing democracy. What we are doing, our country is a democratically elected. We have democratically elected president, democratically elected governors. But what you now ask, what is the process? Was the process that bring the governors, the senators to power, was it free and fair? Because in a democracy, that must be free and fair. When you come into power, free and fair, you can actually allow people to be happy with you. And when people speak, you know that they're speaking because of they voted you. But whereby people vote does not count, and maybe they never expected you to win and you won, and you too, you know that they never voted you. So when they talk, you're seeing them as an enemy. It is when you see your citizens as your partners in progress, you see that whatever implementation policy you're doing is for the people, not for yourself, then you can give them opportunity to talk. You give them opportunity to protest, so that when they protest, you have a listening ear. In a government where there is no opposition, development is stiff. You cannot drive development because opposition drive development. In most civilized countries, in most civilized, where you have a government that have sincerity of purpose, and whereby you have a government who cannot say they have a vision. As long as Nigerian government is concerned today, and even in the past 8 years, there is no sincerity of purpose in governance. And when bad things keep happening, it becomes a tradition. And so in the last 8 years, we have gotten it wrong in terms of our judiciary, we have gotten it wrong in terms of human rights, we have got it wrong in terms of freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Then, because our leaders does not have the mind of the citizens, their interest is not of the citizens. For instance, today before I came to station here, I was actually talking with a top general in the military, and he's someone that has so passionate about it. He told me he came back from Egypt and he was landing at the airport, and he said, immediately landed at the Nigerian airport, he felt depressed. I said, why will you be depressed now? You just came back from hospital, you're better. So why are you depressed? He said, no, I was so depressed because I came back to a country. When I came back, what I was seeing was actually things that are different from what we're seeing in Cairo, in Egypt, and other places. Why are we using those people as example? Because they have government leaders that love their people, that have sincerity of purpose. They have purpose why they are presidents. They have purpose why they are governors. So it is people-oriented government. For instance, our president just had a handshake with the president of Brazil. And you look at the trend of Brazil in the last 15, 20 years. What I expected the president even to ask Brazil president, how are you doing it in your country? Perhaps you can learn a lot of policies that could drive you to develop your country. But what can you make you to do that? Sincerity of purpose. If you have a plan for your country, that is when you now start asking questions, how will I better these people? But when you don't have a plan, you only do there and do jamboree, come back. Life continues the way it is going. So in Nigeria today, we have not gotten proper leaders. We have not gotten proper leader who thinks about Nigeria, who knows that why they are in power is because of Nigerians. Yes, you might have, you have commissioned flyover, you have commissioned road, but what about the human development? What do people feel about you? I have a conversation with a Rwandan, and I was asking him, how are you doing? I love your president, he's doing well. Do you know what he told me? So he's not just our president, he's our father. He's our father, he's doing very well and we love him. How many Nigerians can call our president our father today?
But people still say that Rwanda hasn't had the kind of democracy that it should have.
You're talking about democracy. Yes, they don't have democracy, they have development. They have policies in place. They have things going well. Kigali was one of the cleanest cities in Africa and even in one of the cleanest in the world. In terms of their policies and governance, you can say the president has stayed a long time, but constitutionally is allowed in their country. But I'm just using that as an example to let you know what it means for you to do well for your people when people love you.
Now, this leaves me asking what young people like you, within the opposition, the coalition coming up, and the faces that, are popular, are still the old, if you allow me, the old guard, as they say, and what are you, those of you in opposition who are young, what are you doing to see that this whole thing changes, that young people are able to, take over the helms of affairs of this country?
One of the things we young people, especially people like us and my colleagues who we reason together, try to form team together today, is that we have learned not to follow the pattern of the old. Because we are the new generation of Nigerians, so we must live by examples, and we must also try to learn where these people are making mistakes, which I know. I will not guarantee you that in 2027, if coalition win the presidency, they will do 100% more than what the current government is doing, because both in the coalition, you still see people who are from who brought the president, who are there and all that. But, for young people, we are working hard, and I cannot tell you that nobody knows what will happen in 2027. Forget about what everybody is doing. See, Nigerians are yearning for new Nigeria. Nigerians are yearning for a new Nigeria where young people have a say, a new Nigeria where the citizens come first. And Nigerians want a place where you can enter a vehicle and you can drive from Abuja to Kaduna to Sokoto without considering bandits, without looking at who is going to kidnap you on the road. Nigerians are yearning for a Nigeria where you can come out with your degree. Before you finish your NYC, a company is already looking for you because you did very well on merit. Nigerians are looking for a government, a time when every young Nigerian will go to the hospital and get with his citizen card, he can get treated whether he has money or not. Nigerians are yearning for when a pregnant woman in Nigeria can go to a hospital and deliver safely and come out of the hospital without paying a dime. The government will pay for it. Does it mean we don't have the money for it? My brother will have the money for it. We'll have the resources for it. So when you talk about 2027, forget about the big faces you're seeing in the opposition. The younger ones are coming up.
All right.
2027. You don't look at the people who are seeing. There is a narrative that will change in 2027, and I know you're a young person, and you'll be willing and ready to work together.
Okay, let's see
that.
how that plays out in the 2027 elections. Will young people rise up to the occasion, or will it still be the old guard? The conversation continues. Stay with us. This is still Correro, the big conversation where we ask the questions that matter. Correro, your front row seat to the most pressing issues, from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism, and the conversations that matter. My name is Iheanacho Prince, and I invite you to this big conversation table as we analyze the top stories, ask the tough questions, and hold power to account. News that informs, analysis that empowers, debate that drives change. Correro, the big conversation, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Rapid TV. Thank you for staying with us. This is still Correro, only on Rapid TV, the big conversation where we ask the questions that matter. We've been talking about, governance and the intersection between governance and politics. My guest has been Honorable Dr. Ugochukwu Williams, and the conversation has been interesting so far. Now let's get back to it and talk some more about young people in the polity. Several young people are saying, look, 2027 should be driven. I mean, naturally, looking at 2023 and even before then, in 2019, young people seem to have, taken up responsibility to say, look, we want to participate in the process. 2027 is looking likely to have more young people also join, in participating. How do you intend to take advantage of these numbers? The young people make up to about 70% of Nigeria's population. How do you intend to take advantage of these numbers to sway the election in your direction?
Good. Young people not only make up the population for 70%, young people make up 60% of the voting strength. Registered voters, 60%. So if young people comes together, nothing stops a young man of 40 years, 45 years, becoming president of Nigeria if we are determined. That is where I fall in. And that's why I say if we are determined. Yes, we are taking steps. While the older ones are having their meetings, the younger ones are also having their meetings. We have learned how to have meetings.
Are you saying that you want to retire the old ones by 2027?
We want to retire the old ones. I am saying it on live TV. We have to retire the old ones. The old ones know that they need to retire. Let me ask you, what is the retirement age for public servants in Nigeria?
65.
65 years. So if constitutionally or if globally you have seen that 65 years are supposed to rest after putting 35 years in service. If I start naming politicians in Nigeria who are putting 35 years in service in politics and are still active, dragging for 2027, it's time for them to retire. Until when you retire these old people, that's when Nigeria will start working. Until when you have 60% of young Nigerians being in active positions, ministers, agencies, SSAs to the president, governors, legislatures, that is when we can be able to have a productive and vibrant governance.
How do you intend to retire these people, or these older people, in 2027, considering that they themselves are not resting? They say, some of them say, look, we're retired, but we're not tired. Some of them say, look, we're still very young at heart and we would continue to run. Just for instance, the likes of Peter Obi has said, I'm going to run 2027 and I'm just going to do one term. The likes of Amici also throwing their hearts in the race. People are still saying there's a big chance that the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar would also run in 2027. With all of these people throwing their heart, what is the chance that a young person can defeat these people? Let's not forget the president who is
already a serving president. Exactly. So let me tell you, one, I won't share our strategy on the national TV because The young, when they were in our age, they were all strategizing and become who they are today. So we are also strategizing. But what I want to assure you is that in 2027, there is going to be a lot of young people who will be running for president. So, and that is one of the steps a young person have to take. You have to bring yourself out and show people what you can do, who you are. What are you going to do different that the old people are not doing? For instance, in 2023, nobody believed that P2B could get where he is today. So when a young man who knows what it takes to govern Nigeria today, to be a leader, not a ruler of Nigeria, comes up in 2027 and bring to bear policies and plans, not just immediate plans, but a blueprint of master plan that can work in the next 50 years for Nigeria. When he starts rolling it out, Nigerian political space is already getting enlightened up. Nigerian political space is driven, the voters are driven by young people. The voters, they will definitely understand that this is the right person that we need to vote.
You were the youngest aspirant in the 2023 elections on the platform of the PDP.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you encountered, and how do you intend to address some of these challenges, in the future?
Yes, in the last, when I was running for presidency, in fact, one of my greatest challenge was also the old people. And I remember meeting one of the leaders or political that I used to respect, I walked up to him, I said, I want to run for president of Nigeria. The man said, see, you see, sweet. You can imagine that threat force. So the young people, the old people does not believe in the ability of the young people. They do not believe, even when you are 35, 40 years, they don't believe a president of Nigeria can be 40 years. They see Nigeria too big for a young man to govern. So when you come out, they see it that you are not serious, that we can't even, And again, the challenge of fund. The older ones have run into office for years, so they've looted a lot of fund left and right, and they can throw it around the politics. They are not, they are not more focusing on ideas and policy plans and what you want to offer to the country, but they are interested in what the cash you're trying to throw around. So that's one of the challenges as a young man coming into to run in office. But as a young man, persistence and continuity gives you the drive, and the passion you have for a change gives you the drive, and that was drive so many of so many of us that are young, that are empowered, that are running alongside with the old people, is the passion to make a change, is the belief that this country can be better by the young people. The old people, whenever you say young people need to be given up, they'll give you one governor that they gave opportunity, that what did he do with his government? I asked that question. Out of 36, you gave one, and you want to also rate it by that. Then the remaining 36 is old people, so what have they done? In the industry where young people are run in this country today, that's where we have the best sectors. The banking industry is run by the young people, and that's where we have the best. Music industry, the best. Movie industry, the best.
Let's now...
The fintech industry, the best in the world.
Interesting.
The economy is booming in that sectors.
Let's tie security and corruption, some of the biggest threats to Nigeria's economy right now,
yes,
and talk about them in one breath. What do you think President Tinubu has done wrong when it comes to tackling insecurity, as well as tackling corruption in this administration?
Okay, let me take it from the security architecture of Nigeria. First of all, one of the challenges is what the Chief of Defense Staff mentioned, the aspect of our borders being porous. First of all, we need to understand the challenges of Nigeria. We need to, for you to solve a problem, you need to understand what that problem is and where is the problem coming from. And you honestly must be sincere in making these findings. Security is something that you need to tell yourself the truth, or else the same thing keep doing every time. So Nigerian government need to understand what are the challenges of our insecurity. In the middle belt, what is the challenge? What are the peculiarity of insecurity in that area? In the northwest, what are the peculiarity? Where are these infiltrators coming in? In the southeast, what is the challenge? These are the major areas. In the northeast, we also know that Boko Haram has been there in the last 15 years. They've been there. So what are the challenges? One, our borders are porous. Secondly, unemployment is everywhere. There is no address of unemployment in Nigeria. If people are engaged, employment mustn't be that you're employed to pay salary. You can be skilled. You can be a business person. Once you're busy earning a living, you can take care of yourself and your family. At least you're okay. So these are things you need to look at. What are we doing? What are we doing when we purchase? What kind of gadget are we using to secure our country? We must go into technology-driven security. We must also go into orientation and people understanding community where they are. Who are the infiltrators who comes into community? When I was running for president, there's one that is called Safe Community Security. That is a community security driven, that is driven by the community, not by, because if you secure one community today, secure the next community. If all the community in Nigeria is secure, Nigeria is safe. So you need to go down to the communities. Where is your problem? What is the problem? Then we need to go back to the local government. The local government are no longer active. The local government are no longer working. The local government chairman is the chief executive and chief security officer of his local government. We have 774 local governments in Nigeria. If the 774 local governments are working effectively, have their own means of communication, means of security and securing their communities, working effectively, using their local government fund without the governors interfering to it, having the autonomy, we'll have a safer Nigeria. But if we leave this, the allocation from local government comes, the state governors takes it, the governors doesn't have anything for it. These are things that are the challenge. Then corruption. Corruption in
We have
Nigeria,
1 more minute to wrap it up.
yes, yeah. Corruption in Nigeria is one of the key problems of Nigeria. I was telling somebody this evening that government officials are no longer taking money, the one for their pocket first. When they are doing project, maybe you are doing a flyover, they are not thinking about their pocket, but they are thinking of a trailer parked by the side that putting the money. Because if you are putting money in your pocket, you put there's more money. But when you're looting money that is bigger for your children and your children's children, even to the point you are buying property all over the world, you don't know where your properties are. So corruption is areas that we must solve. Once you solve the problem of corruption, whereby people, and how do you solve corruption problem? You need to also put in a system in place, a system to monitor. When you know that if you come into this office now, everything is computerized, how the money move and everything is, we've already been biometric capturing of our staff and biometric capturing of things, no more movement of fund the way it's supposed to. There will be a way of covering the corruption. You now have to do with just few of the corrupt individuals. Okay. And the judiciary, EFCC, they must do their work without looking at anybody.
All right. And this is where we'd have to drop the anchors on the conversation tonight. It's been an interesting one. Nigerians, the verdict would be that this is your country. Security is everybody's business as well. Corruption and change begins with you. If you are not corrupt, the next man may just be learning from you to not be corrupt. My guest has been Honorable Dr. Ugochukwu Williams. He was the youngest presidential aspirant in the People's Democratic Party in the last general elections. And he's been my guest tonight on the show. Interesting conversation it was. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm hoping that we would continue to have more conversations like this.
Yeah.
And that's been the show tonight. This is Correro, only on Rapid TV. Stay with us. Coming up is the Rapid News Hour. Stay here. Correro, your front row seat to the most pressing issues from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism,